When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor, but you pushed it off, made the excuse, I'm too busy, I don't know which doctor to go to? I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can just feel so daunting. But thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who's right for you. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. I use ZocDoc for my medical appointments, and honestly, I think you should too. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Banterly to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Banterly. ZocDoc.com/Banterly.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Every time I run it through in my head, it works perfectly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Banterly, the Gen Z podcast about pop culture, media, and everything in between. My name is Aidan, and another reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed to our Hyphenly newsletter, check it out at the link in our show notes to subscribe. Today on Banterly, we have a very, very special guest near and dear to my heart. We are joined by Rosie Carroll. Rosie, welcome to the studio. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a fan of Banterly. I'm a fan of Aidan's, and I'm so excited to get the chance to come on.
If you want to give us just a few sentences about who you are, where you live.
I'm Rosie. I live in Washington, D.C. I'm a journalist, and I know Aidan. We're longtime family friends.
The longtime family friend story is that Rosie's mom and my dad went to college together and have been friends since like 1984, I think. Our families have intertwined at this point, and we go on trips together and we have a lot of fun together. And so we joke that we are sister from another mother and Mr., the whole shebang.
All of the above.
All of the above. We are everything. I don't know if you heard last week's episode of Banterly, but we talked about you. And my favorite character from this recent season was played by Anna Camp. She played two different characters. They were twins. And then this week, I read an article that Anna Camp is dating a woman, which, it's 2025. That's acceptable. That's not why I'm shocked. It's just funny that I always think back to Pitch Perfect and that Let's Be Honest joke.
Let's be honest.
And now Rebel Wilson is with a woman and Anna Camp is with a woman. And so it's like a full circle moment. They're going back to their lesbian roots.
It wasn't just a line. It was a prophecy. It sounds like.
They satisfied the prophecy. But one thing that I want to get your take on in regards to this relationship is there's an age gap. Anna Camp is 42 and allegedly this woman is 24. I know it's different because it's woman and woman. And normally if it would be like man and woman, people wouldn't bring it up maybe as much. But what are your thoughts?
I guess so. I guess maybe since it's two women, there's the power imbalance between them is lessened a bit because it's not a man and a woman. But I would say that's a pretty big age gap. A 24-year-old, that is not a mature adult. Your prefrontal cortex is not formed yet, right? So I guess, are they married or are they just together?
No, just together.
I see. I guess it's up to them. What happens. I suspect that it might implode because that's a 24-year-old. But I'm wishing all the best for them, honestly. I really am.
Me too. I know 24-year-olds pretty well. I happen to be one right now. And if this goes south, you bet your bottom dollar it's going to be a 20-part TikTok series about Anna Camp and the breakup. I think it's time that we get into our question of the day, which today is, are you afraid of flying?
So I am not afraid of flying. I started flying at a pretty young age, thanks to my parents. And controversial take, I enjoy turbulence. I think it's pretty fun. It feels almost like a roller coaster ride. It gives it a little bit of an edge, I think.
That is quite a hot take. You enjoy turbulence.
I think it's kind of fun. Livens up the experience.
Does a thought ever cross your mind like, oh, maybe this plane could go down? Or is it just like, I know I'm safe because that's like such a small chance?
The thought has certainly crossed my mind, but I think I come to the conclusion each time that A, that's unlikely, and B, what am I going to do about it?
Wow. You have a really nice perspective about this because really there isn't much you can do as a passenger on a plane.
I always travel with a book or something I can write on. And so I always say, if we're going down, I'll write something out to my family and loved ones.
Wow, okay. One day I'll be like, there's going to be bumps. I'll look at you and be like, you go.
I'll be laughing. I'll hold your hand. We'll get through it. It'll be fun.
Thank you. Because I honestly need it now. It's crazy that when I was younger, I had no issues with flying. I've been on big planes, I've been on small planes, and there's never been a nerve for me and anxiety with taking off or landing or turbulence, really. But recently, like the past 1 or 2 years, I have been so nervous taking off and landing. Turbulence, I'm definitely not excited by it, but I can deal with it. Like I can breathe and I can be like, we're fine. It's just a cloud. Now, every time I take off and land, I'm like, how does this work? This giant piece of metal can fly? It's insane to think about. When was the last time you needed to go to a doctor, but you pushed it off, made the excuse, I'm too busy, I don't know which doctor to go to? I think we've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can just feel so daunting. But thanks to ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy to find and book a doctor who's right for you. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 100,000 doctors across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, primary care to urgent care, and more. I use ZocDoc for my medical appointments, and honestly, I think you should too. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Banterly to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Banterly. ZocDoc.com/Banterly. But on the subject of flying, this week we're going to be talking all about Season 2 of The Rehearsal, which premiered April 20th, 2025 on HBO, HBO Max, HBO Go, whatever it's called now, that network. And it's an American docu-comedy series created, written, and directed by Nathan Fielder, who you may remember from Nathan For You.
Tonight I'm going to take a bigger risk than anyone has ever taken on television before. In just a few moments, I'm going to be handcuffed to this solid steel frame, and I'll have exactly 90 seconds to free myself before the claw on this robotic arm undoes my pants, exposing me to an audience of children. If that happens, an LAPD officer is standing by to arrest me for indecent exposure. We've all seen escape artists risk death before, but tonight, I'm going to risk something even worse. Becoming a registered sex offender for life. And what you're going to see tonight is 100% real. Welcome to Nathan For You. This is the Claw of Shame.
Now, Rosie, there's a reason you're here today. Other than my love for you, there's another reason you're here. You and your brother are pretty big Nathan Fielder fans. Tell me about that.
I introduced my brother to Nathan Fielder. I think I stumbled upon it when I was in high school, maybe. I first stumbled upon his sort of breakout show, Nathan For You. I just love the way he escalates things. Me and my brother are big fans of this sort of comedy, which makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable, but for some reason it works for us.
Not only did you introduce your brother to the show, but you both introduced me to the show a few summers ago on vacation. It was right after season 1 of The Rehearsal was coming out. And we watched a few episodes of that and a few episodes of Nathan for You to kind of introduce. I don't think anyone in my family had seen this either, so I wasn't the only one. But I had never seen this person before. To quote Kiki Palmer, I don't mean to sound ridiculous, but I don't know who this man is. He could have been walking down the street and I would not do a thing. And it was so intriguing to watch because I'd never watched anything like it. And I don't think it was the type of comedy that's for me. I wasn't like laughing out loud. Yeah, there were some silly parts, but it was just the very intricate jokes that this man was doing to these unsuspecting civilians, which makes it so. I've never seen anything like it. The only other things I can think of are like Impractical Jokers or like the Carbonaro Effect, but those are like the Walmart version of this. Like they're great. I love those shows for different reasons, but this is just takes that idea of pranking people to a whole new level.
What you don't see in things like Impractical Jokers or another sort of parallel is Borat with Sacha Baron Cohen. What you don't see from them is the same sort of deadpan style that you get from Nathan Fielder, which makes all of his interactions both coldly analytical and intimate almost, I would say, in a strange way. But it's also the same exact factor which makes people recoil at his type of comedy because they feel a secondhand embarrassment, maybe. I think there's something about his deadpan persona rubbing up against real people that produces a very genuine result from people. It's almost disarmingly vulnerable, I think.
If I met this man in a gas station, for example, I don't think I would ever even think, it wouldn't cross my mind that this weird little nerdy guy, like I would never even like think that, oh no, he's a mastermind behind something that's actually going to change my life once I see it play out on TV. And his whole shtick is that you don't know what's an act and what's not. I can't tell if when he goes home and he closes the door, if he's different or if this is how he actually is. Doesn't matter really for me, but whatever persona he has on TV is so different. And something about it just cracks me up because he can stare into your soul.
Truly, truly.
The Rehearsal is different than Nathan For You. The basic premise, from my understanding, he comes up with an idea that he wants to test. And so the whole season follows this same idea. And he has little vignettes of individual experiments that he does on people in each episode that all correlate together with whatever his main hypothesis is. So for example, in the first season, he's trying to help this man share this important news to his coworkers that he was been lying about not having a graduate degree.
Not to coworkers, but to his trivia team.
Oh, his trivia team.
Which makes it even more trivial.
So that was season 1. But season 2, he is focusing on aviation safety. He's kind of reenacting a bunch of plane crashes and realizing that maybe one of the reasons is that there's an environment in the cockpit that it's more difficult for the second pilot in command, the co-pilot, to share their opinion and stand up to the head pilot, even if they know that they're making a mistake. So we kind of put that together that maybe that was a reason that all these plane crashes he gave as examples is happening. So he does these experiments that test that hypothesis using actual pilots, actual people and actors, and he goes on so many twists and turns that you wouldn't even think it relates to aviation safety, like this couple who has cloned their dead dog. But it all does, because it's about relationships and humans' relationships with each other and themselves. But I thought it was an interesting concept and super timely. Next time I go board a plane, I'm going to knock on the little cock, be like, talk, introduce yourselves, because hey, I'm not dying today.
Well, it's funny because I do think that's probably an issue in aviation. I mean, I don't know about aviation, right? I don't know what training the pilots go through. I'm sure it's a lot of training, but he's getting at probably a real issue, which is communication in these crucial moments. But like you said, I think what's so interesting about this season is we've seen it spiral completely out of control. theoretically, he is trying to answer this question about aviation safety. But I don't know that we'll ever get an answer, right? And that's what I like so much about the season so far, is that it hasn't been afraid to lose control over its own premise. Because of Fielder's anxiety about control and meticulousness, it actually ends up escaping that anxiety and sort of spiraling out into a controlled chaos, which is so interesting and has been great to watch. And he's also always, toying with simulation. I mean, the simulations that he's building is just, they're incredible.
It's insane. I looked up what the budget was, and there's no accurate source out there, but this man is recreating these. So, for example, he recreated the Houston airport, or a terminal or a gate at the Houston airport, down to a T. Like, it looks exact the same. And it's one thing to recreate the alligator lounge like he did in season 1, but to recreate a whole airport terminal is outrageous. The details, it's all in the details. It's insane.
You ever go to a fair and you're in a mirror maze? You see on Instagram and TikTok probably little kids running into the mirrors. They're funny. That's the image that kept coming to my mind, because Fielder creates replicas of real situations so painstakingly detailed that they begin to replace the real itself. He builds replicas that are so accurate for our purposes as viewers, they start to replace the original. So it sort of, to me, begs the question, at what point does the simulation of the thing become the thing itself? At what point does the simulation become the point of the show?
Oh, chills, actually. Because I was thinking about it from the couple's standpoint. If you're watching people who are supposed to be you act out and have arguments that aren't, there's no, like, not in the script, talking about, like, she wants to have kids, he doesn't.
You coming home this late?
Don't start, Monique. I'm tired.
You're tired. I want a baby.
This again. You need to get a job. You have no structure. Your brain is going crazy.
I'm a human being.
If you're watching that, are you thinking, oh my gosh, like, that happened, that's really weird, or like, oh my gosh, that didn't happen, but that's just like us, and how the hell do they know how we behave? Like, it must be so weird to watch it back.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
One of my favorite scenes from this season was in episode 4. And the premise of episode 4 is there's a pilot named Colin, and Nathan's trying to help him gain more confidence so that way he can find a girlfriend. Because as a pilot, it's hard to find a partner because you're traveling all the time. And especially if you have trouble communicating with people, which goes back to co-pilots communicating with the head pilot. It's all connected. So part of this exercise was a bunch of actors were around him, 12 or 20 of them surrounding him as he spoke to these actresses who were girls that he was trying to pretend to date so he would get more confidence.
It's something I've been working on called the pack. Yep. And so I think it may have the potential to help change human behavior.
I saw a nature documentary recently where it said that animals will hunt in packs.
Colin.
because it gives each individual animal the confidence to do things they'd normally be afraid to do on their own.
You want to get a coffee real quick?
Sure. Yeah.
I wondered if that idea, applied to humans, would make social interactions feel less scary.
Because hearing yourself is one thing, but hearing 20 people besides you as you're talking to it, I'd be more confident. I'd be like, yeah, this is my group. Like, go out with me. What the fuck? Like, come on. And then Nathan does an experiment. Within the experiment, going to the actors and actresses themselves, I'm even like, are these actors acting right now or are they just acting as themselves? Because one woman thought she was attracted to this man because of his intelligence. Because when she was little, she was attracted to Einstein for his intelligence, and she was describing having a wet dream.
To me, that's what turns me on.
You're turned on by his
I'm
intelligence.
turned on by the intelligence. Like when I was a little kid, Einstein was a guy I thought was so sexy. Einstein, yes.
Really?
Yeah, and I read his story and everything. I was like, oh yeah, this is the kind of man I would have loved.
Einstein.
And he had a baby when he was real young. Did you know that?
No.
I don't know. You know, just when you have I don't want to say that, but.
What?
A wet dream, but you know.
A wet dream? Wow. You had a wet dream about Einstein?
I was turned on to him. Yeah.
And then she met Colin and was like, I'm attracted to your reserved sexuality. And I was just dying because he sets up these situations that people can just be so honest because it doesn't feel like it's a show to them. Maybe it just feels like it's reality.
I think a lot of people who watch the show ask the question, where do these people come from? Where does he find these people? Because they seem so strange. It's like, would I act that way in that situation? Would I say something like that? And you doubt it. And maybe some of these people are more strange than others. But I think it's more that his way of interacting with them, with so little of the exaggerated social cues or value judgments that we're used to being expressed in normal conversation or through our body language, he sort of strips himself of all that with his deadpan humor. And I think that's what brings the strangeness out of people.
I agree, because I feel like if I was backstage, so to speak, and thinking like, oh, cameras are down, I'm just talking to the director, I might say like, oh my God, yeah, like I've stalked Diana Agron. Like not actually, but things come out when you feel like you can let your guard down because you're off the clock, so to speak. Another crazy person was that guy who admitted to being banned from every dating app.
They kick you off.
For what?
They don't give you reasons. So like, I've been banned from Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, and I think that's it. Oh, and Seeking arrangements is where you go meet girls that are looking for like more like a mutually beneficial arrangement.
How is that even possible to be banned from so many
You don't have to do anything illegal. It could just be like you offended someone based on something you said.
Sure.
I don't remember saying anything too offensive. I just don't know, right? So like
you don't know.
They don't give you a reason of why.
So you have no clue what.
He talked about it in such a cavalier way. He just sort of threw it out there, as if no one would be alarmed by such an admission, you know.
And Nathan was like, "You really have no idea." We need to talk to the women on the other ends of the messages. But those were my favorite moments. Did you have a favorite scene in particular?
I think I would have to go with trying to recreate perfectly Sully Sullenberger's life. And he does it from childhood.
If even just the tiniest bit of Sully could become a part of me, it would all be worth it.
So it's, in fact, from Sully Sullenberger's babyhood. So you have Fielder coming out in the diaper in a room that renders him a miniature version of himself. And cinematically, it was stunning. I mean, the lighting, the set design, it felt to me almost like experimental theater or art house cinema. I mean, it was crazy how beautiful everything looked.
It was difficult at first to inhabit the mind of a baby. I know so much more than babies do, and it can be hard to forget all that stuff.
But then there was also, like, beyond just the sort of aesthetic feat he achieved there was also a strange sort of melancholy for me, brought on by the fact that he was recreating a childhood, Sullenberger's childhood, which is contrasted by the sort of emotional sterility that Nathan Fielder brings to any moment that he's a part of. So to me, there were so many things going on in that scene. I think what really put it above the others for me was the aesthetics of it, though. I thought it was incredible.
The set was crazy. When he walked in, when he was shaving himself and putting on the ball cap, I was like, like what's going to happen? Then he walks in a diaper. Then his mom's this giant puppet. The scene when his mom, the big puppet, is reading him Charlotte's Web and his feet are dangling outside the crib, which is huge. You can't make this shit up. And I don't know how this man thinks of it, but it was crazy to watch. And then when he was breastfeeding and like gagging on the milk, oh my God.
So I tried not to think about the fact that I was a 41-year-old man and just did my best to be present in the moment. I was playing the long game here, and I just had to trust the process. After all, this did work on a dog.
Like, it could be like a really good horror movie, like a really good like A24 horror movie with like Mia Goth. It reminded me of like Pearl, like the aesthetic, the colors, very vivid in the South. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like it's comedy, it's documentary, and it's also maybe a little bit of psychological horror. Like scenes like that just make you so viscerally uncomfortable. It's incredible that he manages to do that. On a separate note, I'm imagining someone who hasn't watched the show at all listen to this podcast and listen to the things we're discussing, and I just can't imagine how lost they are because of how absurd all of this is.
Just talking, like this is the same season, clone dogs, airport reenactments, sucking on a puppet's breasts, getting milk. Like, same show, same guy, believe it or not. We talked a lot about the actors involved, but one aspect we didn't talk about that's kind of blowing up in the media this week is the Wings of Voice, which was a section of the show where he had pilots. He made up this competition show, kind of like American Idol, because he used to work for Canadian Idol as a producer. It was one of his first jobs, where he would go through and kind of pre-screen, pre-audition people and either confirm them or deny them. He remade that with the pilots being the judges, hence the name Wings of Voice, where people would sing to a pilot, a real pilot in a room, and they would decide if they would move forward or go home. And just to study like how to deliver bad news and how they're doing that, again, back to communication. And so he has auditions, he has this performance, but someone is unhappy. Lana Love did an article with Variety, broke her NDA, saying that she was duped out of $10,000 participating in a fake singing reality show.
We all know that the show's out. I'm filming this actually getting right off the set. I did let production know that I was really sad that we all flew there on our own dime under false pretenses. That's totally unacceptable. I think that this is the problem with the industry itself, is that people are willing to do a lot of things to be on camera because it's good exposure, but they don't really talk about what comes with it. And I'm going to talk about what comes with it. And it's bullshit. But we knew.
My immediate reaction is, come on. Right? Come on, girl. Did you really think you were auditioning for pilots in an airport terminal? What did you think was going to happen, right?
Like, I feel bad laughing, but seriously, like, I feel less bad for her the more that I hear about the situation. She had a contract that I guess she didn't read fully in the beginning, signed an NDA, which she broke. And even in the show, someone asked about it on camera, and he included this in the final cut of him responding like, oh, this is a singing competition on a different show that has nothing to do with singing. And I guess Homegirl discovered this in the middle of shooting and made a TikTok, but she had like walked out of set and was like, I'm on set of this Nathan Fielder show and I'm about to blow this up. Like, we had no idea. And I guess her fellow castmates that she told about, I guess she would have people come into a room one by one and deliver the news. Like, she has a flair for the dramatics, I can tell. And they were like, no, don't do anything. Like, we could still get our big break. It's still a show on HBO, whatever. So she waited till the show came out and then blew that pop stand.
I can understand her feeling upset, right? I would be upset having blown $10,000. I'm not sure I would blow $10,000.
I would be embarrassed, though. I would be so embarrassed that I wouldn't be bringing it to light. Like, I would not be trying to make a spectacle out of it. I would be like, oh.
Exactly.
That's me.
Right. I'm not sure. Yeah. You couldn't waterboard that out of me, as they say. As they say. Yeah. I also, there was this moment for me when I was reading, I didn't closely read the article, but I did read the article. And there was a point in time when I was reading it and I was like, is this part of Nathan Fielder's plan? I mean, and there's no evidence that I have to base it on that, but it's just so hard to tell because so much of what he does is like blurring the line between the real and the fake. And I had engaged with this. I was on Twitter, which, I should never do, but I was on Twitter and I saw someone post saying, people who believe that Fielder's set designs and the people that he gets on the show, like, they're idiots. If you really believe that, you're an idiot, And so I've been having this, I briefly had a crisis of faith in Nathan Fielder. I was like, well, should I believe this? Is Lana Love being real? Is this part of his broader scheme? And then I sort of realized I don't think it matters at all if it's real. Not to discount Lana Love's, story, but in terms of Nathan's antics, it doesn't really matter if it's real or if it's fake,
It doesn't change the show for me.
Right. I think the point is that it doesn't matter, right? The rehearsed becomes emotionally and physically real.
It's like when people do those videos and they're cutting into something like, is it cake or is it real? Like, what's real? And I could totally see now that you're bringing it up, like, it's good promotion for the show. And especially because we found out that she's releasing a song called Nathan Fielder. Like, that's really strange of her to do.
We have to listen to that song.
We do. Wait, cut it in. Play it here.
Okay to torture. Adults are okay to torture.
So the whole show is called The Rehearsal, and the whole premise is that they're rehearsing these big moments in life. What are your thoughts on rehearsing for something?
I think rehearsing can be super useful for a play, for a speech, public speaking. But Fielder's obsession with rehearsing is basically to avoid failure or avoid pain. That's silly. I mean, I think we all need to fail and we all need to struggle. So while rehearsing tough moments can be useful, I think rehearsing can become a crutch. Or, when you watch Nathan Fielder rehearse trying to avoid painful moments, I guess, you become so obsessive about avoiding failure or pain that you lose grasp on the real, or your ability to live, basically.
Life would be so boring if everybody knew exactly what they were going to do and how they're going to react to everything. Like you said, like a wedding speech. Practice that, please, for everybody's sake. But for something like asking someone out on a date or having your first kiss, like that's the joy of life, is to have those butterflies, is to not really know how to do it and to not do it right. So that way you can, when you're doing it in real life again, learn. Otherwise, what's the point? And no average Jim Bob or Jill is going to be going to these lengths to rehearse these things. It's so exaggerated that I take everything in the show with a little grain of salt because it's not real life for me in my context as a human being. It is alleviating my anxiety and thinking that, wow, maybe I'm not so weird after all. Because I'm like, oh, I feel better about myself as a person, that I can get through some difficult moments without having 20 people around me saying the same thing. So I get confidence. I get people who don't or are not like that. I have a lot of social anxiety, especially walking into a room of people that I don't know for like a work event or anything, or even a party where I only know one person, like the host or my friend who I'm with. It's terrifying. Or to confront someone about if my feelings were hurt. I mean, this doesn't happen really anymore, but if my feelings were hurt, confronting someone about it, it's all difficult. But one thing that I learned in my youth that I've realized, I've taken it with me in my adulthood because I do this for a living, but I can express myself so much better through writing than I can through words, verbally. Speaking, that's the word. Yes, vocab. Which I don't think there's anything wrong. I think as long as you can communicate, it doesn't really matter how you're communicating. And when I was young, I would bottle things up and then it would all come out in a very dramatic way. I would have like a little breakdown. My mom would always be like, if you ever have anything you want to share, just write me an email or a text and we can start the conversation off that way. So it's easier, you don't have to like talk to someone face to face, which I take with me to this day because I don't care what people say, like being in person's better. Like, yeah, but that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you and I are both writers. I think we realize the power of writing and how therapeutic it can be. I do the same thing. I mean, I try to do confrontation. It's hard. I think everyone tries. I think that's the whole point, right? Trying and maybe failing. And I think there are ways to cope, perhaps not coping like Fielder copes, but there are healthy ways to get through something like that. Pop your AirPods in and listen to some music before you enter into a room with a bunch of people you don't know, or call your friend or write to your mom, There are so many options that don't involve all the absurd lengths to shield ourselves from reality that Nathan Fielder goes to.
It's so true. And I remember going to a Halloween party in October and texting you like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. Like I only know the host. Like all these people are really intimidating. Like, what do I do? And you really calm. I was literally sitting outside of the Met waiting to go into this woman's house being like, and you come like little things like that. They help so much. You don't need a whole set.
Remember that you had a wig. You had a blonde wig, didn't you?
Yes. I was Hannah Montana.
and you killed it, right? You killed it.
I did. I made some great friends that I'm still friends with, and I'm obviously still friends with the host today. But like, it was so helpful, and so do things like that. Take a page out of our book.
Call your friend. Write to your friend.
What a show. What a show. I'm excited for the end of the season, the direction it's going to go. Because I didn't finish the first season, so I don't know how that ended.
I'm sure it'll go in many different directions before we get the finale. But I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you for joining us today. It really has been a pleasure. You added a certain je ne sais quoi to Banterly and the rehearsal. I could not have done this episode without you, for real. So thank you, and I hope you come back. Thank you for having me. It was so great to talk to you, and I'll see you very soon. If you have seen the rehearsal and you want to share your thoughts with us, please do at banterly@immigrantlypod.com and engage with us on our socials at immigrantlypods on Instagram and at immigrantly on TikTok. Banterly is produced by Shay Yu, written by us, the co-hosts Rosie Carroll and Aidan Taylor. Our sound designer and editor is Lou Raskin. The Banterly theme music is by Simon Hutchinson, and additional music is by Epidemic Sound. See you all next week.